Mary Axness. Um, I was born and raised in Hong Kong, but I'm married to a man very, very opposite to me. He's Scandinavian. That's why the name Axness. Um, let's see. I'm 69 years old, currently living in Atlanta, Georgia, fairly new here, but have resided in the US for over 45 years. So I came here as a teenager, and the main part of what represents me is about forgiveness. You see that word all over, wherever you see my picture or my name. Um, Most importantly, I started out as a uh, inner healing person, but not knowing that. And it took a long journey for many, many years. But I'm all about representing wellness because as a kid, being brought up in a very dysfunctional home because of arranged marriage, I realized the only way I could keep mommy and daddy happy was get sick. And that was my childhood. And now I didn't think of what happened to me was abnormal. I thought that was normal. Now, born and raised in the 50s, I thought everybody goes through this. Now, back then, we didn't understand a lot, and women don't really have a voice. They are to be seen and not heard. And only until recently, I discovered many of the history from my mom because, as I said before, she passed away uh, middle of 2019. And that's when Getru and I met. And we kind of compare stories a little bit. And as you recall earlier, I said, who is this woman keep wanting me to talk? And I wanted my mom to talk. I wanted her to tell me her story. Now, I didn't do exactly what she did, recording it, but literally the time before she passed on, because I had to travel quite a ways to Hong Kong to visit her, we started drinking together. Now, she's a very conservative little Christian woman. Drinking is just not our thing. Well, she got so drunk, she was dancing and giggling. I caught a video of her. So now I play that for our grandkids that let's not be legalistic. Let's be free. And part of my work is about forgiving myself too. Around the period that right after she passed, I didn't realize I was clinically depressed. Although I didn't feel depressed, I go about my normal business. However, I realized I had to have a lot of meltdowns. And so I was very cheerful in between, but I rediscover a chapter about healthy grieving. So in my work as a naturopathic doctor, I'm actually transitioning. By the time when I met with Getru, I said, it's time to repurpose. You know, sometimes when there is a death, when there is a major change in lives, it's very important to know where you're going. But I started to repurpose, and I was telling everybody, it's time to repurpose. This pandemic shouldn't take over. And so what is that all about is reframing my past, reset my present, just to be present with me. You know that little song, Mary, Mary, how is your garden growing? Well, I'm an urban farmer. I eat very well. And part of my work is about coaching people to feed their body well and then to prevent illness, but also feeding the soul and freeing the soul. So I had to go on my own word and say, hey, it's your time. So I had to be very real with myself. And I started journaling. And of course, when you meet Gertrude, she's so irresistible about writing. I said, I'm not a writer. I'm actually like a newspaper reporter. So I have to start reimagining things. And in that time, I really, since April, I really revisit a lot of things and start to preach back to myself and say, how is your garden growing? So I'm now in my second book, and it's called My Father's Daughter. And there will be a chapter contributing to the HerStory platform, but also resetting my goals. And out of this, the word legacy keep coming. Now, we have two very sweet grandchildren. Not knowing, my husband and I have been married 42 going on 43 years. I kept thinking everything is his fault, not mine. Well, when I revisit a lot of the places, I realize, oops, I have contributed a lot through my childhood, that I have dragged these monkeys on my back, and then just, it's like stinky stuff. I call it stinky stuff that I carry with me. And literally, after my mother died, we have the best time between my husband and I. And he recently lost his job, and we are making the best of it. He never, for 42 years, it was all his fault. Now it's like we're revisiting having honeymoon in the worst time of our lives. So it's very important to be grateful. And as I'm rewriting my future, like I said, my big yes, there are two things, is to help others to reorder the inside landscape, forgiving others, forgiving yourself. And not only that, to appreciate each other. And suddenly, since April, after I said yes to Gertrude, really didn't know what this is all about. Every time I see her, I said, what is this? Tell me more. And I realize now the journey and the process is part of the victory. So I am really, really grateful to Gertrude, who was so persistent. I mean, I just couldn't get rid of her. And I would think about her a lot. And every session we were trying to get together. How are you? How's your mom? We didn't even talk about what I'm supposed to do. But through this journey, I'm so grateful because I'm very global. I retired from as missionary to China. They almost arrested me. They said Chinese women shouldn't be that bubbly, So I got a lot of attention. But the point was, I escaped arrest, and God restored my marriage with my husband, because I'm only a 4'10". To stand up to a almost 6-foot man who was very dominant, until recently, he really admitted it to me. And I said, oh, I wasn't totally wrong after all. But anyway, I'm just absolutely delighted. He's downstairs taking care of all the grandkids, keeping them quiet, feeding them ice cream, so I can have this little room all to myself, just to connect with all of you. I love each and every one, and I look forward to knowing you more. Thank you, Gertrude.